Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into some fascinating articles and notes you shared with us about learning effectively. And we're going to boil it down to, basically, two powerful strategies. Neuroscience-backed stuff that could really change how you take in information.
Absolutely. It's about working smarter.
Exactly. Does this sound familiar? You know, you've spent hours with books or notes, maybe rereading until your eyes glaze over or highlighting everything.
Not bad. The rainbow textbook pages.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're putting the work in, right?
Yeah.
It feels productive.
Yeah.
But then comes the test or the big presentation or maybe just needing that info for a project.
And nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Your mind just goes blank. That awful feeling, knowing you tried but it didn't stick, that's usually not about how smart you are. Like your research points out, it's often the technique that's flawed. You're studying hard, for sure, but maybe not. Well, smart.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here is to help shift that. Move from just studying hard to really studying smart. We're focusing on two key ideas: active recall and spaced repetition.
Two real superpowers for learning.
You got it. Get ready to find out how you might cut down study time, seriously boost what you remember, and get better results without that burnout.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, first things first, let's talk about the enemy, so to speak. Passive review.
The default mode for many of us.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it. Just rereading the textbook, glancing over notes, watching lecture recordings again and again, it feels like learning, doesn't it?
It does. It feels familiar, comfortable even.
Right. But that's the trap. The sources you shared really hammer this home. It's often this great illusion of learning. One article had a great analogy. It said it's like looking at a map of a city 100 times instead of actually walking the streets.
That's a perfect description.
You might recognize the map, point out landmarks on paper, but if I dropped you in that city, could you actually get around? Probably not confidently. Just creates this false sense of fluency, doesn't build those strong brain connections.
And what's fascinating there, neurologically speaking, is why that illusion is so common. Our brains are efficiency machines, right? They tend to mistake that easy feeling of recognition, that familiarity, for actual deep understanding. When you just reread, it feels easy. Your brain goes, I know this.
But you don't, really. Not deeply.
Exactly. Without actively engaging, without, wrestling with the information, your brain isn't forced to properly encode it for the long haul. Or, crucially, practice retrieving it. And that retrieval part is key for making memories stick.
Okay, so that's the problem. How do we fix it? How do we get past that passive habit?
Well, that leads us straight into the first superpower.
Active recall. This sounds simple, but honestly, it's a total game changer. It's about pulling information out of your brain.
Not just pushing it in.
Exactly. You force your mind to retrieve the memory. I always think of it like doing a bicep curl for your brain.
Huh. I like that. It captures the effort involved.
Yeah. It takes effort. You might struggle a bit, but that struggle, that reaching for the answer, that is where the learning happens. That's what builds the mental muscle.
And connecting that to the brain science, it's really quite profound. Every time you actively pull up a memory, you're not just accessing it. You are literally strengthening the neural pathway to that information.
Like walking the same path in a forest over and over.
Precisely. It becomes clearer, easier to travel. The more effortfully you retrieve it, the stronger and more accessible that memory becomes later. It's not just recalling, it's reinforcing the memory itself. Even getting it wrong helps, because the effort flags it as important.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do people actually do this active recall thing day to day? We pulled 3 really solid methods from the research you looked into.
Right. Actionable stuff.
First up, the flashcard revolution. Now, people hear flashcards and think, okay, grade school, but most use them passively, just flip and read.
Which is basically passive review again.
Exactly. The active recall way is different. Question on one side, answer on the other, fine. But the key is you have to try and say the answer out loud before you flip it over.
Verbalize it. Commit to an answer.
Yes. Don't just think it.
Yeah.
Say it. And here's a really cool insight from one of the papers. If you get it wrong, that's actually great.
Counterintuitive, maybe, but true.
Right. That struggle, I didn't know that, that's the sweet spot for learning. Put that card back in the pile, review it again sooner. I remember my colleague Sarah studying for this tough certification. She had hundreds of digital flashcards. She just flipped through them, recognizing terms, feeling pretty good. But then, practice questions. Blank stare.
The familiarity trap.
Totally. Then she switched. Forced herself to explain each concept aloud before checking. She said it was super frustrating at first getting so many wrong, but slowly That frustration turned into real understanding. The struggle cemented it. Exam day. She nailed it because she'd built that retrieval strength.
That's a great example of the struggle being the feature, not the bug.
Exactly. Okay, second method, the blank sheet method. Super simple, incredibly powerful.
Oh, love this one.
After a lecture or reading an article chapter, put everything away. Notes, books, gone.
Yeah.
Grab a blank sheet of paper and just write down everything you can remember.
It's time dump.
Total brain dump. Key ideas, formulas, names, definitions, whatever. No peeking. Then, the crucial step. Compare your sheet to your notes or the source.
And see the gaps?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Those gaps. That's your personalized study guide right there. That tells you exactly where you need to focus, where the understanding is weak. I tried this after reading this really dense paper once.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I had it down. But that blank page, oof, brutal honesty. It showed me exactly what was fuzzy, and I knew instantly what to reread, but this time with real focus.
It's a fantastic diagnostic tool for your own understanding.
For sure. And third, teach it to a toddler. Or, the Feynman technique.
Right. Explaining it simply.
Yeah. Try to explain a complex idea in the absolute simplest terms. Imagine you're talking to someone with zero background. Your roommate, your dog, whatever.
Or an actual toddler, if you have one handy.
Yeah. The core idea, like your sources highlight, is if you can't explain it simply, you don't really understand it deeply enough yourself.
It forces you to break it down, find analogies, identify the core concepts.
Absolutely. Think about explaining something from work, like a new software feature or maybe a financial concept like compound interest, to a friend who knows nothing about it.
You immediately find where the jargon is hiding your own confusion.
Exactly. You start stumbling, you realize, wait, how do I explain that simply? That struggle to simplify. It shines a spotlight right on the fuzzy bits of your own knowledge.
Brilliant. So those are 3 really practical ways to do active recall.
Right. So now you're pulling information out, building that brain muscle.
Right.
But how do you make sure it stays there for the long haul? For that big final exam or for skills you need years from now?
Yeah, the retention problem.
This brings us to superpower number 2, spaced repetition. And here's a surprising fact. Your brain is actually designed to forget stuff.
It's a feature, not a bug. It has to be selective.
Totally. It's optimizing, getting rid of info it thinks is useless. This is shown really well by the forgetting curve, which your sources described. Right after you learn something, maybe your recall is 100%.
Perfect memory for a moment.
But within just one day, you could forget, like, over half of it. A week later, it's almost all gone, unless you do something.
And this is why cramming feels so desperate.
Exactly. Cramming is that frantic, last-minute battle against the forgetting curve, trying to just jam it all into short-term memory before it vanishes.
But spaced repetition is the strategic way to work with that curve, or rather against the forgetting part you want to avoid. The brain's forgetting is smart, filtering noise. Spaced repetition tells the brain what isn't noise.
How does it do that?
Well, the core idea is simple but powerful. You review the information at increasing intervals of time.
Increasing intervals. Okay.
Right. You revisit the information just as you're about to forget it. And each time you do that successfully, using active recall ideally.
Bringing that back in.
Yes. Each time, the forgetting curve for that specific piece of information gets flatter. The memory gets stronger, much more durable, more permanent. You're basically signaling to your brain over and over, hey, pay attention, this is important, don't delete this file.
Okay, so what does that schedule actually look like? Is it complicated?
Not necessarily. It's quite flexible. A pretty standard, effective schedule might be review 1, maybe 1 day after you first learn it.
Okay.
Review 2, maybe 3 days after that first review. Review 3, perhaps a week later. Review 4, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that. And you can keep extending the intervals.
So it gets less frequent over time.
Exactly. As the memory gets stronger, you need to review it less often. And you don't need complex software, although apps like Anki or Quizlet are great because they have spaced repetition algorithms, SRS, built right in. They manage the schedule for you.
Well, that's handy.
It is. But you could just use your calendar, set reminders for key topics, think about learning names at a party or work.
Right. You try to use the name a few times early on.
Then maybe see it on an email the next day, use it again a few days later. You're naturally spacing the repetition. Or even learning a new recipe.
Yeah. You make it once, maybe look at it again a few days later, then try from memory a week after that. Soon. It's just known.
Exactly. You're intuitively fighting the forgetting curve for things you want to remember. Spaced repetition just makes it systematic for studying.
Okay, this is making so much sense. Active recall to build the muscle, spaced repetition to make it last. But you mentioned combining them.
Ah, yes. This is where the real magic happens, the ultimate combo.
Tell me more.
Don't just passively look over your notes when your spaced repetition schedule says review topic X. That's better than nothing, but
Use active recall during the spaced review.
bingo. When the reminder pops up to review, say, Chapter 3 concepts, don't just reread. Grab that blank sheet. Use your flashcards. Try to explain it simply. Test yourself actively.
So each review session is another active recall workout.
Precisely. That combination, active recall within a spaced repetition framework, that's the 1-2 punch for truly durable, long-term knowledge retention. It leads to strong results, sure, but more importantly, to knowledge that actually serves you.
Wow. Okay, that makes a huge difference.
It really does. And it raises a bigger point, maybe. Beyond just grades or remembering facts for a meeting, what are the wider benefits of mastering this combo?
Yeah, what does it unlock?
When you learn this way consistently, you're not just memorizing isolated facts, you are fundamentally changing how you build understanding. You're creating a really robust mental structure.
Like a well-organized mental library, maybe?
Sort of, but more dynamic. The knowledge is integrated, connected, and easily accessible. It's not just stuff stored away, it's a framework you can use to think, to problem solve, to connect ideas in new ways. It becomes truly your knowledge.
That sounds incredibly powerful, way beyond just studying.
It has implications for everything, really. Innovation, critical thinking, adapting to new situations.
Okay, let's quickly recap this deep dive then. We started with that common frustration, studying hard, highlighting like crazy, but the info just evaporates.
The passive review trap.
Right. But we've explored two evidence-based superpowers, drawn from the science you shared, to study smarter. First, ditch the passive stuff. No more just rereading and hoping.
Step 1, awareness.
Step 2, embrace active recall. Force your brain to retrieve. Quiz yourself. Use that blank sheet method. Try the Feynman technique. Explain it simply.
Build that mental muscle.
And step 3, master spaced repetition. Review stuff at increasing intervals. Beat that forgetting curve by telling your brain strategically, this matters. Keep it.
Make the knowledge stick and combine them.
Yes. Use active recall during your spaced reviews. That's the ultimate combo. And remember, this isn't just about passing the next test. It's about real comprehension. Building knowledge that lasts a lifetime for your career, for everything.
Getting your time back, too. Less wasted effort.
Absolutely. Less stress, more confidence, because you actually know it. You've got the tools now, the techniques. Go out there and study smarter, not harder. You can do this.
And maybe a final thought to chew on. Consider how consistently applying these principles might change more than just your learning. How could it transform the way you solve problems, make decisions, or innovate in your field by making your knowledge truly accessible and ready for complex challenges?